Here's our Luger. What we're going to do is we're going to take this thing apart and give it a nice little cleaning. So, did some shots today. Now we'll be able to finally look at it. See here that it's 1917. We're also clear. We're going to take this guy apart. So, we're going to start by first gripping the hand around our toggle, pulling back slightly. That'll allow us to drop this lever. Pull off our side plate. We've got our same number proofings. That'll allow us to pull our action forward. See, this little hook becomes important later on when we reassemble. So we'll look at the lower half of the gun first. On this, we don't need to do too much when cleaning it, but you can see we've got buildup throughout here that we're going to want to address. Beautiful gun. Find a serial, or the end of our serial. And this one's in pretty good shape. You still got the white for the riding and everything. Our trigger just sort of walks its way right on out. And it too has the same serial right there, that 32. So it's kind of cool. They ended up putting numbers on quite literally everything. And as we get further into the top of the action, you're going to see even the firing pin has a number as well. So this guy we're going to end up cleaning out through in here. On a regular field strip cleaning and everything, you don't need to mess with taking the grips off and all that. You want to be careful as to what cleaner you use. You don't want to get a polish, because if you've got a good amount of straw left, last thing you want to do is take it off. This one, there's barely any straw left. Unfortunate. Next, when we look at our toggle action here, it's amazing. But this pin at the rear is what we're going to want to put forward first. So, a punch, or in our case, our family shooting center punch. And just push that pin. We're going to hold on to this just because we don't want anything to ever fall out. But we'll have our pin, which will allow our toggle to pull out the rear. This kind of actually is pretty cool. It kind of turns into a tuning fork. Good way to check for if there's any damage to it. The rest of this, actually, this is the only piece, this hook, that doesn't have a serial number on it. So, don't know if that was repurposed at some point, because it is over 100 years old now. But this is our toggle. Erfurt. Really cool. Next, we're going to take apart our toggle. Now, we don't need to mess with this pin and pulling out our hook, but back here, you can see how our firing pin gets cocked, released, what it does when it resets itself. Check your protrusion here. A lot of folks, they'll take a screwdriver, push in and turn. You can actually use your finger, push and rotate, and you'll see there's a little notch right here that it's going to lock into place with. So this is our firing pin pusher, spring. After removing our spring, our firing pin striker, we can actually pull out our firing pin, which This one needs a little encouragement. And there's our firing pin. You notice it's got a couple channels, top and bottom, so that if you're in any kind of muck, anything like that, it's not going to stop the operation of it. We use makeup wedges because they soak up everything and don't leave anything behind. But that firing pin is in pretty darn good condition. We got a proof, and oh, look at that. Got ourselves a serial number. So that's all we really need to do. We could push this pin, could push the pin for the toggle. It's just going to need to be pushed in from in here, in here, in here. But for our purposes today, no need. We'll give everything a wipe down, get all the debris, all the carbon, all the brass, get everything pulled off of it. And that's all we really have to do. If we wanted, we could take this down. We'd need a little hook here, probably a little flat edge screwdriver. But this, lift up, pull out your spring. Same thing over here, the spring. We're going to push on our extractor, or our ejector, right along here. Push that guy, be able to slide right out here. And this one, we're not going to mess with today. But, run a snake through our barrel, and now we can reassemble. A little bit of the CLP we'll be putting upon. And unlike some, we're not going to put much at all. Just a bare minimum on any metal that moves on it. So that gets full coat. Firing pin will slide in. It's slightly tapered there so that it doesn't end up coming all the way out. Our spring is actually in really good condition. For being 100 years old, this thing is great. Our actual firing pin striker will go next.
What time we get for lunch today? Oh, you're taking it all apart.
So we have reinserted our firing pin striker. Insert, rotate to the right. Once that screw is pointing straight up, it's good. You can test it. Operates just fine. Next, we're going to put just a little bit along the areas that are going to be moving, metal on metal. You can check your loaded chamber indicator / extractor. And interesting fact, it does say geladen on it, which is German for loaded, I think. Not really sure. We'll get the fact checkers on that. But toggle's good. It's going to slide in the rear. Now with this guy, we will have to hold it in place when we insert our pin. You'll notice it's got our groove on one side, so it's pretty easy to see how that's going to go in. Slide is complete. Next, right in that groove, not putting a lot, just a little bit to work. Our hook, we want that down. We're going to start the rear of the gun because we don't want it to get fallen in. Then at the back, you'll see where it drops in. Want it to drop into there. Then we can pull this guy to the rear. First we'll put a plate on. Drop it in as we slide to the rear. This one has its little hook here that helps push down on top. Can't even put your lever up until you pull to the rear. That'll lock you in. Then we can do our function test. She works. That is our P08 Luger 1917. Cool cavalry marks. Got our proofings here. Which are actually pretty impressive. That's for if anybody knows in the comments. What does that mean? 1/353 1K? Don't know. Come and shoot here today.